התאריך היום הוא ה-17 לספטמבר שנת 2000. ראיון נערך עם הגברת כהנא לאה לבית גרינוולד. הגברת כהנא תספר לנו על ילדותה בצ'כוסלובקיה, היא ילידת סוחה ברונקה, על ילדותה בעיר ברגסוס בצ'כוסלובקיה, החיים בצל המלחמה, 1944 המעבר לגטו, הגירוש משם למחנה בירקנאו, השחרור, עם סיום המלחמה הנסיעה לאנגליה, החיים בלונדון, ועלייה לארץ בשנת 1979. מראיינת לאה פירסט ביד ושם, ירושלים. Mrs. Kahana, Lea. Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you tell me, please, when and where you have been born? About your family?
I was born the 2nd of March, 1922. I am the second child of 7 children. My oldest brother, David, was born in 1920. Then it's me, Lea, and then I got a brother, Yosef. He was born in 24, and a sister, Rivka. She was born in 26. And a sister, Esther, 29, those are alive. 2 of the youngest ones I lost with my parents in Birkenau, with the rest of the large family. What I remember from my childhood is from the age of 4, I remember a grandfather. When my sister Rivka was born, he came with a cake in his hand, and he said, my brother Yosef said to him, Saba, come quickly, I want to show you the baby, we have got a baby. He said, my child, I'm coming, but slowly. He was already very old, not so much old as sick, but he came still to see mother, the daughter with her new child. He died 2 weeks afterwards. But that's what I remember. Then there is a gap between what I remembered, you know. But I remember also friends from my childhood that we used to play together and get together on a Saturday afternoon, play all kinds of things. With whom we've been very friendly. I remember also the first years of my school, which we had, it was a Czech school, but lots of Jewish children attended it, mostly Jewish, because the non-Jewish didn't go to the Czech school, they went to other schools. Usually there was a Russian school and later a Hungarian school under the Hungarians. But my father insisted that in the house he speaks with mother Yiddish. We should all know Yiddish. Then we went to the state school, to the Czech school, where we learned Czech. He said other languages they are learned in the street. I remember myself being a good pupil But somehow it doesn't sound good if I say it myself, but that's how I remember it. When I was at the age of 8, my parents decided to move to Berexas because my brother was 10 and I was 8. He wanted to give us a higher education, and that small place didn't have that. So they moved, although it was much harder for him because he had to start anew to get a flat, get somewhere to live. He had already 6 children at the time. My little brother, Zev, was already a young baby. The 7th child was born in Berexas already. In Berexas, I joined a school. There was a Czech school, a Yiddish, Jewish, only Jewish children. I was attending that school till the age of 11. 11, I moved to a school which was prepared us for further education. And there I've been, of that school, I got a photo also, what I'll show you later. It was a Czech school. I went all the time to a Czech school, although in Berexas, the language was in the street Hungarian. And lots of people spoke Hungarian, and they went to Hungarian schools. The official things have been all Czech. Offices, the post office, everywhere they spoke Czech. And it was very handy, we knew Czech. Hungarian I learned very quickly as a child in the street, between friends and between others. What I remember of my childhood is a very warm home, a lovable parents. They lived for their children and for their home. The father was in education.
What's the name of your father?
Mordechai Tzvi Grunwald. He was a very good pedagogue and a very good teacher and a very educated person. His pupils often said, I learned at your father's, and what I know is everything what I learned from your father. They admired him. And my mother was a housewife, a very devoted mother and a very good person, a warm person. Her children and her home was everything for her, though the doors have always been open for everyone who needed us. Of the little we had, whoever came to ask for something, she never let a person go without sharing what we had. Later, what happened in 1939, when the Germans got into Poland, many people ran away from Poland, and Hungary was still free. I didn't tell you that in 1938, Czechoslovakia was parted. Half of it was Czechia, and the other half was Hungary. We fell in the part what belonged to Hungary. Our education had to be stopped. Who was over 14 years wasn't allowed anymore to Hungarian school. So that was the end of learning publicly. Whatever we learned afterwards was ourselves.
Before the war, I want you to tell me about the Jewish holiday to your home.
We've been a religious family, and they have been very nice. You know, I don't say we've been rich people, but we've been living as the average people. And the Jewish holidays have been observed very, very carefully. Shabbat and holidays have been something special.
Describe me the special of those days.
Well, it came before Pesach. You looked forward to Shavuot. You looked forward to the Sukkot. They built a sukkah, and we decorated it. We made the best of everything, and we enjoyed it. Children enjoy very much things like that. And most of my very close friends have been of the same standing as we've been. We learned in school, in the Czech school, we had an hour of Hebrew. Not exactly modern Hebrew, but we learned to read and about history. We got as much as we could. The rest we learned at home. We've been in a Jewish home, and as a child, whatever you see, it makes a very deep impression on you. People ask me today, who know what I went through, how is it that you remained religious after all what you went through? So I thought, I think my roots have been very deep. That's something that it goes with you. And all my brothers and sisters, they are all Shomrei Kashrut, Shomrei Shabbat. They are all religious.
Mrs. Kahana, did you told us about your friend, you surrounded, did you have some connection with the un-Jewish, with non-Jewish people, friends or?
In Berexas, yes. In Berexas we had Shchenim, we had neighbors, non-Jewish ones, until the big anti-Semitism came in. They liked us very much, everyone. You know, we had non-Jewish friends who have been very close to us. We lived in a big place, and there was a doctor of nose and throat. He came from Russia after World War I. Whenever he wanted someone to translate him something, he had a patient and he didn't speak the languages. He used to ask me, Lea, will you come and translate for me? Or another one who was really in a job where it was an anti-Semitic job, but he liked that family. And his wife was very friendly with me. He, as a matter of fact, came and told me when they took the people to the ghetto, Lea, I have got acquaintances where I could hide you. Would you like to? I said, no, I want to go with my family. Wherever they'll go, I'll be with them, for better or for worse. My little sister Esther had a pupil, a Hungarian one, who lived on a farm, and she went to school in Barracks House in our town. And she told her daughter, the friend, they used to pay us with products. It was a shortage of certain things. And when the war came and they took the people to the ghetto, the mother came to us and said to my mother, I'm prepared to take Esther and look after her. She will be like one of us. We are on a farm, far away from everybody. No one will know that she is Jewish. She didn't look like Jewish. She was a blonde schicksal. My little sister said, no, I'll go with my family. I know it's not for the best, but I want to be with them. And if I can help my parents, or I don't know if my parents knew more what's going on than they let us know, the children. They wanted to cover it from us. There was a shortage, for example, of flour. There was a year that was a shortage of bread and flour. And we had a sack of flour, and we put it between two doors, and from one side we put a cupboard, and from the other side also, that they couldn't see it. And they came to make a razzia in the house. That was a control.
Who came?
And it was from the Hungarian authority. They sent them to. And they took my sister and they said to her, tell me, where did your father hide the things, and my mother? So she said, I know. They'd be very happy, they thought that she's going to tell them. And so he asked, no, where, show us. She says, he fed 9 hungry mouths with it. Things like that, you go back. I can't tell you, it was such a close-knit family that that little sister didn't look Jewish, and there was a queue for bread at the baker. And it was very hard to get. They didn't have enough for the queue. So she said, I am small, I'll get in, I'll push in front. And they don't know I'm Jewish, and I'll get the bread. And she most often did get the bread. Things like that. The family was so close, and we looked after one another. We played together, we fought together like children, but we've been all one.
Lea, you told us a good relation with the non-Jewish surrounding your neighbors.
Yes.
But have you experienced anti-Semitism before the war? Before the war?
Before the war, not. But during from 38 till 44, we've been already, Hungarians have been very anti-Semitic. And then there was living also a family, their name was Hoch. They have been Schwabs. But the son was with me in the Czech school. And we've been friendly, and we always thought that they are friends of ours. But during the war, before they took us to the ghetto, we found out that there has been here and there a remark which hurt, that we've seen that it's not sincere.
At home, did the Zionists erase living to Palestine, going to the Holy Land? Did this subject arise?
My father was a big Zionist. My brother David came, he learned Ivrit at home, and a good Ivrit. He came to Israel with a good Ivrit, and we spoke often how it would look, a country like Israel. He was a Zionist by heart, and the family was brought up as Zionist. All of them came to Israel. We got from friends after the war affidavits to America. All of us, from a friend, a neighbor of my late father's. I threw it out when I came to Israel, and others threw it away, and they came to Israel. One brother ended up in Cyprus, and all the difficulties, but all of them came to Israel. Israel was the place we wanted to go. And my oldest brother, David, he worked after the war he helped the people emigrate, the children who have been left. And he was in a prison by already Russia occupied, the communists occupied Czechoslovakia in 48, I think it was. Because they caught him doing things.
You told us about your family, your childhood. As a child, you remember what was your dream? Can you tell us about your dreams as a child?
As a child, I thought, well, before there have been any limitations, studies, or I thought I'll carry on studying, and I'll go for business studies, or I'll follow in father's footsteps in education. But I would have never made a good teacher like my father. There wasn't another one like him. Everything stopped. I couldn't continue school. The Hungarians came in, and I was stopped studying. So I went in working, because one had to do something, and besides, for the livelihood, we also needed it. So I went in, I worked in a store.
You are telling me that you worked in a store.
Yes.
I want to ask you now, this was one of the changes. What changed? The war broke in Poland on 1939.
Yes.
What was in the street, at home? What was the changes? What
was it? People ran away a lot from Poland. And whoever came, they went to the shul. The shul was always the meeting place of people who didn't have where to be or where to live. My father brought home, for example, a person. He was running away from Poland, and lots of them survived in Budapest, of those people. And he didn't have where to go, and that didn't have money and couldn't carry on. So I remember we gave him a home until he found something better. He came dirty with lice, and my mother was such a pedantic person, and she cleaned it out. She didn't tell anybody, found him clothes, and my father collected some money for him because he wanted to get to a big town where he will be lost, like Budapest, till he got the fare money for him. I remember he spent holidays with us. And other also, we helped everybody we could on the way. But we didn't think the Russians have been so near on the border that Hungary will be still occupied, that we will also fall into the German ghettos.
But till the ghetto, describe me your life till the ghetto.
Pardon?
If you can describe me your everyday life till the transporting to the ghetto.
When it was already more tension. We heard that here and there they beating up Jews, and in 1942 they took many people from the surroundings.
Who took?
The Hungarians sent them out to Poland. Whoever didn't have the right papers, passport or belonging to the Hungarian, they transported them out. And unfortunately, they killed them off in Poland. We heard about Kamenets-Podolsk and other places where they murdered them and they tortured them. It wasn't anymore the same thing what it was before. I had from the age of 17 a boyfriend whom I married later, but that was a childhood love affair. One day he went out to take some food for those people who've been traveling through barracks, and they caught him. He was hit right, left, and center.
Who?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend, but who caught him?
The Hungarian gendarmerie. And he didn't tell me, but I later heard. And when I saw him, he was all marks, black and blue. It wasn't anymore. I had a friend, he was a doctor, a young doctor, he doesn't in our school. And I And he was thrown out of the hospital where he worked. You know, things like that.
But the changes in your life?
In my life, well, it has, you worry. It has an impression on you. You think what will be, what's happening to our people. It's all brothers and sisters. Later, they took the young, incapable man to labor camp.
Who?
The Hungarians. They've been digging and working hard, and then they haven't been allowed home, or very occasionally they've been allowed to have a visitor, you know, things like that. And they took already the youths and they put them in a youth. It was marching them, and it wasn't anymore the freedom what we had before.
You told us you were working in a store.
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because that was the best I could do. You couldn't study. So a young girl at home, it was a family. And most, as I said, the young people have been taken away. My father's livelihood was also less good than before. So we thought, what can we do to help? So my brother went in, he done some accountancy for one firm, and I went into another store and worked. But that was all right for a while. Later, the Hungarian forced to every Jewish employee a non-Jewish to keep. And that not everybody wanted. It was like to have a third columnist in the place, a non-Jewish person one couldn't trust. So I was in a place for a while, and then they had to send me away because they didn't want to keep a Goya with me. So, but someone else heard that I am free, and they employed me because they had very good reference of my work. And they took a non-Jewish one. They had to hide many things from her. You know, there was a price control of all the old things they had to sell in the same, for the same price that they bought it, what they'd been left from Czech stuff. So they used to send her to some errand. The person who came to buy, they sent her to that person's home. They knew that no one is at home there, to give a message or something until they sold. It wasn't, in the shop it wasn't as comfortable as it used to be. And I told you that we had a neighbor that he was in a position like that they sent him to control the stores. He came to the store where I worked. And of course he wouldn't do anything wrong. You know, he was with another one. They controlled, and they left. Then my boss said to me, you know, take this for Romansky, a present. So I said to him, you don't have to send him presents. He found everything all right. There is nothing to bribe him for. But he said, Leah, do me a favor, hand it in. You know, they haven't had the freedom, what they could do, the things they wanted. It wasn't like
A freedom in religious life, the Jewish religious, it was freedom.
Pardon?
I say about the Jewish way of life. It was a freedom.
No one stopped you at the time. But in Hungary, no one stopped you, how you kept at home your holidays or how you didn't. That no one could control. They used to come to the shul to control if no one is hiding, you know, things like that. But to pray, you could.
So what changed?
Pardon?
When life was changed, what changed and when?
Well, it was not drastically changed. Slowly, this wasn't allowed, that wasn't allowed.
What wasn't allowed?
First of all, I told you schooling, and then jobs. People have been thrown out of jobs, and many, many things that you felt you can't even apply for.
On 44?
Yes. 44, I got a card here. What I'll show you later, what we wrote when they closed. My brother Joseph, he went to Budapest because he wanted to go to a big town that he can get more opportunity to work or to do something. He was working in a Jewish orphanage. I don't know if they've been all orphans or they've been from like some Polish children who the parents wanted to hide, and that was a place. And he was arranging things for the orphanage, and the manager and his wife, they never had children, and they kept Yoski like their own child. He was there. So on the day, I think that we've been taken to the ghetto, we wrote still a postcard to him. He kept everything. Whatever I got in the way of a photo or of any documentation, we found with him. We wrote even a card from Birkenau. We've been allowed to write a card. Well, I definitely wouldn't have sent it to his address. They shouldn't. I was afraid they're looking for addresses to bring more people into the crematorium place to Birkenau there. And so I wrote to Agoya, that one that I told you that she moved in then in our flat. But she was a friendly person and we got on well with her. And my father gave her the address of my brother in Budapest. She sent it, but my brother was already there that time in the labor camp, but they forwarded it. He got the card. In 44, May, first of all, they took us to the ghetto.
Who took you?
The Hungarians, they threw us out of the house. They locked up the house. They said, without luggage, what we have got on.
No luggage at all?
We had to pack it.
What have you packed?
A certain thing, a certain, like bedding and clothes, and those things we had to pack, and they'll bring it with us. They brought it with us to the ghetto. It was, I don't remember how many kilos it was allowed, but they brought it with us. We brought it with us to the ghetto. In the ghetto, it was already a common kitchen, that food was collected, and they gave out lunches, for we couldn't anymore have a cooking place or anything. We had, the ghetto was a factory of bricks, but a big one. It was huge. And that was cubicles where they dried the bricks, and that was allocated, sometimes a half a cubicle for a family, and we put up a sheet, and it was already very, on the floor we've been lying. Luckily it was summer and it wasn't, we haven't felt so cold. And we've been in the ghetto about a month.
About?
About a month. And then they brought in trains. Trains came in.
When?
To the ghetto. I don't know, a day or 2 days before. In the ghetto, they made us work. Work what they didn't need, carry stones from here to there, just to make us busy everywhere. Then it came on May the 15th. They set for a certain part of the ghetto to gather near the train, and they pushed us in the train it wasn't compartments, it was some animal trains where they carried animals in. It was a little window, and that was also with barbed wire. And they pushed the people in without luggage. If somebody had something, so they told him roughly.
They? Who was they?
The Hungarian gendarmerie was there. The Germans have been in already, but the Hungarians transported us out. And in such a wagon, there was about 80 people or 90, or maybe 100. We didn't have enough room, not even to sit everyone, never mind to lie down or to rest. They gave each family a bread, and if I remember rightly, a cup, a mug. They put some water on the wagon and some buckets, I think 2 buckets for toilets. When a transport was about 3,000 people. And when they filled the train, They used to lock up everything. Someone accompanied the train, and they said that we're going to work in Hungary on farms.
You told us about the train. About the train, you are now in the train.
Yes.
Did you, during the days in Bergasos or in the ghetto in Bergasos, did you hear some voices or some rumors what happened in Poland about the camps? Did you know, you or your family, you knew?
First of all, before they took us from our home, they told us, they said to gather 1,000,000 pengers. Penger was the currency. 1,000,000 pengers was a lot of money for a little town like that. Whoever was the main of the Jewish community, he wants to collect it. If not, he was present. And there have been a few people kept, important people of the town, until the 1,000,000 pengers was collected. That was collected. All the jewelry we have had to give up.
To
Buckets they put in the ghetto. I had, as a child, earrings. I couldn't open them, you know, so by force we opened them to throw them in. They searched us when we went on the trains. You know, you couldn't take with you anything. Now we are on the train and we're going.
You know where you're going? They told you where?
If my father knew something, and my mother, they didn't speak about it before the children. They wanted to keep us, you know, as they didn't want we should be afraid or we should panic, or they put us on the trains, and the train goes to the Slovakian border. So we knew already that's not Hungary. They're not taking us to Hungary. It was a lie, you know. On the Slovak border, Hungarian SS gone into the train. They've been in the front of the train. I am sure they haven't been in compartments like we've been, or in boxes like we've been. And they took over from the Hungarians. They've been in charge of us, SS. It was very uncomfortable. I don't have to tell you, when there are 70, 80 people, you need to the toilet, young girls, and in the buckets. Every here and there, the SS gone out, they stopped, and they made someone to take down the buckets and emptied them. And I think they got some water also on. I don't remember drinking water because even if there was a bucket of water, you couldn't get to water. And they locked up again. And we carried on with the journey. And that happened a few times. You know, in our compartment, I didn't know anyone dying or children born, but it happened in other compartments. I remember that I forgot to tell you, in the ghetto, my grandmother fell and she broke her arm. And so they let my mother to accompany her to the hospital. They put the hand in plaster and sent them back to the ghetto. So people with broken limbs or old or babies or young, they've been all pushed in those trains. About that Goya that we gave her the address of my brother, she came once to the ghetto and she brought us some milk and bread. You know, they liked us. We had friendly relationship with everybody. We've been people that we would greet everyone and ask, how are you, and what a day have you got, the postman, or whoever it was, they liked us. And I suppose it was, they didn't, she gave it in, she managed to give it in, but they told her not to come anymore. And my sister went to take it, but she told them also it's, they don't want it. They don't want to let in anybody from outside to bring anything. To have anything with outside world to do. So we went to we traveled, we came, we knew already, we've been in Slovakia, we passed the Tatras, that's between Czechoslovakia and Poland. We knew already we arrived on the 18th of May to Birkenau.
How long you were in the train?
For
how long?
In train from the 15th of May till the 18th of May. The 18th of May in the morning we arrived to Birkenau. My father said to my sister Rivka, the windows have been high, little windows and with barbed wire. He said, stand on my lap and tell me where are we? And what do you see? She said, Daddy, I can't stand on your lap. I'm too heavy for that. He said, never mind. And then she stood up and she said what she sees.
What she said? What she sees? What did she saw?
She saw that people are taking off the people from the trains, and there been already the Jewish häftlings who sorted the people into
What did she told your father?
what she sees, exactly. So he said, we are in Auschwitz. So I seen that he knows something, but he didn't speak about it to us. He said, children, whoever will stay alive should look after the other one. He already had a feeling that the elderly people won't make it. They must have heard already some information. It was an intelligent lot of people. They must have got through somehow to some information. We get off the train.
You get off the train. What you see?
What I see thousands of people, and they shout, Los, quickly, 5 Reihe, into 5s. Women separate, women and children separate, a man separate. You didn't have chance to turn around and say bye-bye to your father or brother who wasn't with you anymore. You know, when the Hungarian transport came, Eichmann was organizing it so they knew that the Russians are on the border. The trains came in as far as near the crematoriums. A train came in next to the crematorium number 1 and 2. You know, not far. It was little trees, it was covered up. They shouldn't see. They sorted the people. And there we've been marching in the 5 Reihe, in the row of 5, towards the front. He wants something. And there was standing Mengele.
Where?
In front of those 5 Reihes, of those rows of 5. He had a little stick in his hand.
Can you describe me? You saw him?
When I saw him? Oh, unfortunately, I saw him too many times.
Can you describe me?
How he looked?
The first time you saw him, how he looked, yes.
He was a very handsome man in a very elegant uniform. His boots have been polished like anything. He had a little stick in his hand, and with this stick he went like this. Right, left, right, left. He didn't even speak.
We should stop now and continue later. We should stop now. Lea, the date is now the 18th of May. The year is 44. You are arriving to the camp.
We are arriving to Birkenau. We are pushed along in 5 in a row. Women separate, women with children, and men separate. We are pushed forward, and in front of us is Mengele with another few SS men. And Mengele shows with his stick, he had a white stick. And with that stick, he showed like this, like that. Out of the 5, the three sisters, myself, my sister Rivka, and my sister Esther, right, and others left.
Others?
Left. We go like that. The S's take over those who on the right and on the left, and the row is marching on. They are, you know, when we are, first of all, there is a horrible smell of, if you burn human beings, human fat or hair, it has got a terrible smell. The flames, we haven't seen so much. I think they stopped it while we came in. They pushed us, the SS, to a place where they said, you will have a bath, a shower. There is lots of people. We're sitting and waiting on the floor, on the ground. And we're sitting there and waiting. And then SS came and say to undress and leave everything here. You get clothes when you come out from the shower. They push us in a shower. We have a shower. It was a very quick one. Some water left on some people, not each under an extra shower. We are sent out at another entrance, not at the entrance that we gone in, but another one. We came out and they throw us a gray dress and some shoes. They don't ask you if it fits or doesn't fit. A pair of shoes and a dress. No underwear, no knickers, no nothing. Some people came with their period. The people came in their civilian clothes, or they came in. They dressed us in those gray dresses with shoes. Later on, we are marched off to a block. It was Allager Block 13 I came to. My block eldest was Giska Moškovičova. I am in Birkenau in Block 13. I think there have been preachers, 3-floor preachers. At each preach, the bottom 18 people, the middle 18 people, and the top 18 people. We've been so pressed together that you couldn't move. You've been like herrings like sardines in a box. Oh yes, as they take us, they cut the hair. Most of the people completely, somehow they left me some bits of hair. Me and one sister, and the younger sister was completely cut off the hair.
And your mother?
No mother anymore. No mother with me. Mengele separate. No mother, no little sister, the three of us from the family, the three sisters. When we look back after the selection, we see my brother. That's all. That's who came into Birkenau. Not the father, not the little brother, and not the little sister. No. They cut the hair, and they gave us those dresses, and we went to Block 13, and we are there. As we came in, they gave us the bridge where we will be lying, where it will be our place. We are there. There was a bread camera, where they gave the bread out, and they gave everybody a little piece of, we didn't know it's bread. It looked like it was some brown piece, like mud it looked to us, you know. That's our bread rations. We got that bread, and we are in the block. We look at each other, we don't recognize our friends. They are all without hair, and they look different completely. Everyone in that gray dress. That's how our life started in Birkenau. In the afternoon, before the evening, it was called Zelapel, that they counted us. We have to stand again in 5 each, and the block staff put us in the rows, and we've been standing and waiting till an SS man or woman came to count us. And that was twice a day, morning and evening. Till the whole of the camp wasn't right the numbers, we stood there. And sometimes hours, and that could be in the sun, in the rain, in the mud, that was morning and evening. We are, we want to know what's happening, where we are, and what's. So we, first of all, they don't dare to speak, even those who are there already a longer time, like our Blockälteste or the Schreiberin or the Stubältestes who are in control, or the Brotkamera. Lea Mittelman was her name. It comes back, the names even. We asked what happened to our mothers and to the ones who are. So till we got them, they said, the day you arrive to Auschwitz, whoever will remain alive should know that your yahrzeit, your יום זיכרון אחרי האלו שלא פה, זה התאריך. וכבר למדנו מה קורה. אני לא צריכה להגיד לך איך הרגשנו ומה, זה היה מר. And in the evening, I look out, there've been little windows high. I see flames up to the sky. You know, first they try to fop off people, that they're baking bread or things like that.
Who tried? Who tried?
Some people who didn't know that we know the truth already. Not everybody was eager to give you the shock. But we knew, unfortunately, already what it is and where we are and what's happening there. Slowly, slowly, from one and from the other, we heard there we've been in quarantine. That was to see we haven't got the infectious diseases or something. We didn't go out to work in the beginning. It was just the counting of us, and in the morning we asked where can we wash our face, and in washroom or what is there? Where is the toilet? So we learned there is a latrina and a washroom there is, but very early in the morning you can go there. If you went to wash, you missed the drink. I don't know what it was called, coffee, but it was some dirty water. For me, to wash my face and my hands was more important than the drink. You know, you left it, you went, got up early in the morning, 4 o'clock or so, and went to have to wash. Nothing to wipe yourself in. Or, you know, we went to the toilet, no toilet paper, no nothing. At night, they put out 2 big things, bechkas they called it, outside the block. Whoever needed the toilet wasn't allowed to go to the latrina, only in those bechkas. It was a terrible life. I don't have to tell you, you have no paper to wipe yourself, you have nothing to wipe your face after you wash it, or your hands, never mind anything, a proper wash or a bath, that didn't exist. No toothbrush. To live under conditions like that, it was terrible. The food was once a day, 1 bowl of some soup, no spoon, no nothing. I think for a koya, for one of the preachers. One drank after the other. You know, you felt in the beginning, you felt that you're going to seek out, that later on you get used to certain things. You have no choice, and for survival you have to do it. And so I had such a way that I said, at the bottom is whatever there is, a few vegetables or something, but top is like water. I said, I won't drink a lot, but let me have the first one, the drink, I felt I can't drink after the others, no spoon, I can't eat like. That was it. We had to get used to it, and that was it. We've been for a while in Block 13 in Birkenau. They gave us tafkidim to clean the block, to do the beds. There was 2 dirty blankets, gray ones, on each bunk, on each koya, to wash the floors, the stones. We worked, we done it. We got to know more the staff. Staff have been Slovak girls. I'm from Kežmark, I'm from, I don't know where they've been, Mezilaborce, Štajim. They've been there from the year 42. They've been in positions, the few who survived still, very few of them survived, and they had a horrible time. So the day somehow passed, and that was day after day, till they said, get out. We gone out, and they tattooed us.
Can you describe me the day and how did they do it, please?
They done it with a needle and with some ink and pricked.
Hurt?
Yeah, well, it hurt more emotionally than physically, because we realized that we lost our name and our identity. We are numbers already.
What is your number?
A7761. And one of my sisters is A7760. I am A7761, and the third sister is A7762. We are one after the other now. You know, you've been in a state that what hurts was more everything emotionally than physically. We didn't care so much about our physical situation. And once it happened to me, I told you about the Zelapel, that they had to stand in the, we had no watches, nothing, when to stand or what. Once I had diarrhea, and I was in the latrina, and I came when they stood already at Zelapel. And an SS woman who was the right hand of Mengele, her name was Irma Greze. Hit me in the face. You know, I heard sometimes you get a smack that you see stars. But I thought it's just a saying. I didn't think that really happens. But she hit me, and I really seen stars flashing. Went to my place. That was that. She didn't ask, why are you late? What happened there? Nothing. I didn't even cry anymore. You know, the tears, you learned to, so I came Shavuot. That was about 2 weeks after I arrived to Birkenau. And somehow I remembered the holiday at home and the Shavuot. I burst out crying. I cried bitterly, somehow realizing what's happening and where I am and what's going on. One of the blog's girls, you know, they stopped our period. They put something in our food. I think they said brom or so. I don't know what it was. They stopped everybody's period. One of the girls, a very intelligent girl, gone mad. It affected her brain. And she cried always, I want my mother, I want my mother. And SS came in to check. And he said, I'll take you to your mother. She was selected out, gone, never came back. One came in that was still in the block 13 in Giska Moshkovi's block. She came in with her mother. She was pregnant, and he overlooked it. Mengele. He didn't notice it. It was a young girl, a young person, the first child. She wasn't so big, I think. She had a child on the bridge without a mom. The mother was with her. And I suppose the staff helped her through it.
You saw
I
it?
don't know what they done with the child, whether they burned it or what. She gave birth. And she had to stand next morning, Tzelapel. And she done it, she survived. The child was killed. I don't know how they killed it. I don't know the details, but I knew the girl. She was from my town, and she got married that was her first pregnancy and first child. I heard that she lives in Jerusalem. In Me'asharim, they told me she lives. I haven't seen her since the camp. Then, after a while, they told us we're going to work. Took us to work. And, night shift we worked during the night. They gave us some white scarves and we worked. There we sorted the clothes and the things what arrived with us. They said they bringing our things, we should pack up everything in the ghetto. They bringing it, they brought it. And we had to sort it out. And we worked all night there. During the day we couldn't sleep. And during the night we worked. And it was long barracks where we worked. And if an SS came to control us, so they said in Ivrit, in the front, Geshe, Geshe, Geshe. It was passed on. No one should take it easy. They should know that it's a controlling. You know, some people found photos of families and things like that. It was terrible. We sorted and we threw everything the way they said, the underwear here, the clothes there, the food separately, everything separately, shoes. I got in a pair of shoes because the ones they threw at me, they gave me, have been small and I couldn't wear. We trod on the back. Right. We worked at that. We've been allowed to go to, there was a toilet, a latrina, a small one, and only 3 people have been allowed to be at one time in the toilet. And that was also a certain time when there was a very nice Polish girl who was in charge of that toilet. So if she's seen we are 2 or something, she shouted, "Heraus, heraus, get out!" And she showed us, sit, have a bit of a rest. Once I've been there, and another Polish girl comes into the toilet and she says to me, "Show me your hand, I'll tell you your future." So I said, "You are mad, the future." So the one in charge said, "No, show your hand, why not? What have you to lose? Show you." She says to me, "There is someone not far away who loves you very much. You will get married and you will have 3 children. You will reach an old age and you will be sick." I said, "You spoke already enough nonsense. Shut up. I'll tell you your future without looking at your hand. No one will get out from here alive." You know, I went away and kept on working. I told my sisters, so they laughed. Who thought reach an old age? Anyhow, one day my sister, the youngest one, went to the latrina there, to the toilet. And she was 15 years old when she got into Birkenau. She looked with her beautiful blonde hair. She looked more than 15. He passed her at the time. Our group had a very strict selection. It seems that they selected according to how much room they had in the camp to place how many people. She was very finicky, neat, and she was just losing. So who was in charge of the toilet there of the latrina should rest a little bit, stay. And an SS was outside checking. And she was somehow the fourth who came out. And only 3 have been allowed at one time. Esther doesn't come back. We started to worry what happened to Esther. She comes back full of mud, worn out. So Esther, what was it? What happened to you? I said, I had to do sport. It was sport. Whoever they caught, so they tortured them. That was that. Later, in the meantime, often, whenever they felt they want to have only the stronger ones left, Mengele made a selection. The blockout tester said, we have to go today to be selected. We went to the selection. One day, my sister Rivka had a big boil on her behind. I suppose lack of food or malnutrition, or we didn't know what it was from, but so Giska Moshkovich was said, we have a selection today. Rivka was already friendly with her, and she said, Giska, I got a big problem. I got a big boil on my back. And we've been trembling already, my sister and myself. What will happen? She should be selected out. Didn't say anything. We come, we have to undress and pass Mengele. And the blockout tester accompanied us. She was standing behind Rivka. And she pushed her, she was standing at her back. She pushed her, no, hurry up. Schnell, los. She covered her and pushed her through. And when we seen the 3 of us out, we've been already in a state that we've been dreading that we're losing Rivka. She came, she was with us. We are the 3 together.
What in those selection, what did Mengele?
What it meant? Choosing if everybody is still in a working condition, still able-bodied.
Only by looking?
Yes. No, what do you think? That he took an X-ray machine,
No, but undressed?
Undressed and looking. Whoever gone down, they called it a Muslim, who was very thin and very I lost a lot, or was somehow some illness came out, or maybe a pregnancy what one didn't see when they selected out a few always. We are together, and we worked for a while in that Brezhinka it was called. What I done, I seen a person in very bad shoes. I said, here you got a pair of shoes, give me yours. And I went in, marched in to work in those and tried to change it. There was a heap of shoes, a big one outside. And when I went to the toilet, I used to take always another pair of shoes and throw them mine. Once someone shot at me, but he didn't catch me. And he must have seen that I am. My sister's done the same because we felt pity on those people who haven't got what to go. And then they stopped us working there, and my middle sister, Rivka, was left in those stone shoes because she couldn't change them anymore. That was that. While we've been working there, it came Erev Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah was an uprising in Birkenau. You know, the Sonderkommando people worked, I don't know if for 2 months or for 3 months, and then they killed them off and they put new ones in instead of them. The Sonderkommando felt that their time is expired, and someone smuggled in some explosives, and they exploded one of the crematoriums. And while they done that, they threw in a few ashes into the fire, into that crematorium.
How did you know that?
Hmm?
How did you knew that?
How I knew it?
Yes.
I'll tell you how I knew it. Our capo was a German who was taken out of a prison. They said she was a murderess. And she had a boyfriend, an SS. And that SS was one of them whom they killed. She gave us what for? Was die verfluchtete Hunde erlauben sich schon. Do you understand what I said? She used to smack us, hit us, kick us. We had hell. Later we found out exactly what happened. You know. I got a sister-in-law living in London whose father was between the Sonderkommando that was killed there of Rosh Hashanah. They had nothing to lose. They knew they're going to be killed. So at least, I don't know how they smuggled in the explosives. That's another story, but I don't know how they done it. Anyhow, that was Erev Rosh Hashanah. Once, someone was missing. Someone escaped. And when someone escaped, there was like a gray balloon flying around. And we stood, Lapel, for hours. In the mud, in the rain. After a few days, they couldn't find her. After a few days, they found her and they brought her back to Birkenau. They was going to hang her. And all the old Häftlings, like the Blockamtes, the Schreiberins, they had to be gathered to the place where they going to hang her. Her name was, I think, Mala, if I remember well, a Polish girl. She was a Schreiberin. Who helped her and how she tried to escape, I don't know, but she knew a lot. She was there already a long time. The girls went out. We stayed, the Häftlings, in the block. They gone out. Mala had a gillette in her sleeve. And as they took her to the gallows, she cut her wrist. And she committed suicide. They couldn't hang her. They came back. You know, they started, it was towards the evening. In the evening, it was very quiet on the block. They said, I'll male rachamim. They've been so touched. What can we do for her, you know? That was the history of Mala. Later, we moved from that camp, that was A-lager, to the B-lager. In the B-lager, we've been in number 3. Eta Laksova was our blockeltester. And they sent us to work in a Weberei. Sriga.
What did you do?
We've been making some pasim, what they used for burning. It was a war material, something what the Germans needed for the war. And we had to make a certain amount. It was very hard work and very bad material from what to work. We've been working there. And once then we had our officer who looked after the work and us was a Saloniki girl, a Greek girl, Flora. Once, and she was such a beautiful girl, a person like a Greek goddess, she looked. And once an SS came to control us. And he looked around, he went from pass to pass, and she sees my little sister. He says, "Was macht das Kind hier?" And that Flora says, sie ist doch meine beste Arbeiterin. You know, best Arbeiterin, so he left her and went on. We felt we would like to kiss her. When that SS said, was macht das Kind hier? We've been afraid that he is going to take her out and select her out. We lived in a pachat, one for another, while we've been together. That was all we had. Working in the Weberei for a while, I took ill. The sister said, Lea, try, it will pass. Try. They knew very well if I go out, that's the end. I just have very high fever, and I couldn't. One day, I went on the way to work. I collapsed, I fell in the mud, and I was full of mud when I came into the block of the Weberei. They tried to clean me off as they could. And my little sister was a very quick worker. She said, sit there, and that Flora left me between the passes. She said, I'll do your work also, but you can. Till then I couldn't. I said, it's not going anymore. I have very high fever, and I feel I can't march, and I can't go to work, and I can't. So I was taken, there was a Revier, a hospital. I was taken to that hospital. I don't have to tell you how my sisters worried, how they felt. And there was a Czech lady doctor, and the nurse, the Pflegerin, was a Polish one. And I was unconscious. I was very ill. Once I was there lying unconsciously, and the doctor seen, I suppose, a few days that I'm unconscious. She says in Czech to the Pflegerin, to the nurse, here we are so short of tablets. Here it's a pity already to give the tablet in Czech. I understood it. I must have woken up on that. Didn't say anything. I knew I'm dying. I felt I'm dying. Next time she does the round, she gives me a tablet. So I said to her in Czech, you think it's not a pity for the tablet already to give it to me today? So, she said, you heard that? You understood that? And we spoke in Czech. She says, look, what I'll do, they coming to control always, with a few days here, they take away.
Well,
they select up. There's this. To the crematorium, where did they take people? Only there. So she said, I'm changing the date of your arrival. You came today. She told me. I was getting better. I had typhus. I was getting better. And she kept on changing and telling me always. One day I felt very bad again. I said, Anichka, I feel rotten. I feel I got high temperature and I feel rotten. She says, come down she took me down from the bed. She examined me. She said, Lea, you got pleurisy and TB. There is a block here of non-Jewish häftlings, political häftlings, Russian, Polish. I'll take you to that block. They are lung patients. They have got trouble with their lungs. Maybe you will survive. I was there for a while. It was easier that they didn't select them out. They've been treated better, the non-Jewish prisoners. I heard that they've been allowed also to receive parcels. They've been treated better than we. While I was on that block with the typhus, one of my friends worked in the kitchen, and she was allowed to go to see a dentist somewhere on the Riviera. And my sisters asked her to look up Lea if you there. Here is a piece of bread, take her. They gave never their bread. She see me how I was. She didn't say anything. She gone back. She said, I gave Lea the bread. She's better. What will she tell them, that Lea is dying? She did. I was in the block of the with pleurisy and TB, and it came the 18th of January, 45. 18th of January, 45, they emptied Birkenau because the Russians came very near, and they took them for a march off Birkenau, out of Birkenau. They emptied Birkenau. I was very ill, without clothes, without anything. But I knew that my two sisters are leaving Birkenau today. So I thought, I'll wrap myself in a blanket and put some schmatters on my feet, and I'll go out. I want to see them. I won't live just the same. So that lady doctor came to say bye-bye to me. She said, she cried. She said, Lea, you can't go. That's it. I came to say bye-bye. They knew very well who is left in Birkenau will be shot, killed, bombed, the whole Birkenau. They didn't know what will happen, but they knew that we won't be left alive. I came as far as the gate of the block. I collapsed. I fainted. In the meantime, they marched off. I haven't seen my sisters, nothing. Someone threw me on a bridge. When I came to, there have been a few dead ones on that bridge. And there had been two girls talking in Hungarian. So I asked them in Hungarian, what happened to me? Why am I here? So they told me, you fainted and someone threw you on the bridge. With those two Hungarian girls, I got very friendly with the language, and we are three together. The dead ones have been thrown out. Before the block was a heap of dead people. Birkenau was left without food, without water, without anything. Whoever could used to go out and lick the snow from that heap of dead people, because then the snow was clean. What happened? Why we been left alive? The last train came in earlier than the Germans reckoned, and they all went off with the train. And they didn't have a chance to finish off Birkenau completely. Lots of things have been before finished off. There was a mint where gold was minted, crematoriums, except for what's left of one crematorium. The crematoriums have been bombed off. They tried to clear what they could, and they thought that the rest they'll clear when they leave Birkenau. But it didn't work out for them. Those two have been a bit in a better condition than I was. They heard that in Auschwitz there is water, and Auschwitz is more bearable than Birkenau. And so I said, it's a few kilometers, it's not far. You go. You go.
You able to? Have you been able to?
No, you go. I am staying behind. I didn't want they should suffer because of me. I said, no, we're not going. We're not leaving you behind. One night, I dream. I woke up in the morning and I tell the two girls, you know, I had a funny dream this night. So they asked me, what did you dream? You know, what could we speak about? What's happening outside? So then I dreamt I seen my father, and he has got my brother David, and my boyfriend David at the other hand, and he comes towards me and he says, the 27th of January you will be freed. Comes the 27th of January, so my friends say, Lea, where is your dream? So I said, a dream is a dream. I told you I dreamt, and I told you what I dreamt. Before the evening, a Polish girl comes to run and say the Russians are here. In the meantime, we heard only shootings from over our head all the time, from the 18th till the 27th. They've been fighting, you know, the Russians, I suppose, with the Germans there. The Russians are here. So as the Russians came in,
Lea, We reached the 27th of January, the year 45.
Yes. Well, it was, my two friends have been really surprised that my dream came true. You know, it's too funny for words. Well, we've been a few days there, and they helped me, you know. They took me down to the heap of snow of that people to leak a bit of snow to get some liquid or something. And then someone came from Auschwitz and said that Auschwitz is better than Birkenau. They got water, first of all, and secondly, there are some häftlings, political häftlings, who have some food, and some boys who've been liberated there, that they have got something. It's better than Birkenau, where there is nothing, only frozen everything, and snow. So one day they go out and they come back with some box and string. They had a string on that box, and they said, Lea, you come into that box and we will pull you on the snow like on a sledge. Well, I seen that they wouldn't go without me, so of course, so we'll go. They got me to Auschwitz. In Auschwitz, one of my friends, she was looking around, she sees there, she was in Paris in the university, that one of her colleagues are there. So she asked him, how did you come here? And so he told her his story, that he was a political prisoner, and he was a communist, and he was caught, and there was a court case, and his wife begged him to deny it. And his mother begged him to deny that he's a communist. You know, it was he said, I won't deny my beliefs. Hero. They brought him to Auschwitz as a political prisoner. And he had their other two friends he was with, and he says to my friend, where are you? So she said, we just came, we haven't got where to be. So he said, we got here a flat, you know, beds and places where the häftlings gone, and there are left bridges. Come and you can be. So she said, I'm with my two friends. All the three can come and stay with us. He says, she translates it. I didn't speak French and I didn't know anything what they talking. She said, he asks if any of us can cook. One says she can't, and the other one she can't. So I thought, well, if they won't be satisfied, they'll check me. They'll say I'm not a good cook. So I was one of the big girls at home, and I helped mother, and I knew how to cook. If I would have had the materials and the ingredients, I would have cooked something better. But what they gave me, I cooked. And they thought it's very good and it's very tasty, and I was their cook.
What did you cook?
Well, they had some beans and some conserves, some preserves, and whatever I could give them a name. Mishmash. But it was food, and it was tasty after what we've been starved so much. It was the best one could do with what we got. All right, I've been there for a while, and they also found me some clothes, some training. I remember I had a Navy training. They brought me from somewhere. I dressed. We are in Auschwitz. The other friend found someone from her town, a doctor there, that she was friendly with. He had something there already. There was a bath. I don't know whether he occupied it before the liberation or not, but he allowed us to come in and to have a bath. That was a luxury that I didn't have for a very, very long time. And I am in Auschwitz. They needed someone, the Russians, to translate for them. Is here someone who knows Russian? So my foreign languages at school have been Russian and German. So I said, I can translate, all right.
Lea, you talk about Russian. How was their behavior to you? How did they treat
of the Russians?
the Russian? How they treated the prisoners?
First of all, they came and they found me as I was in Birkenau. So the friend said if they have any food, I should ask them. I asked them. So they said they haven't got, they had a kulach and a bit of vodka. That's all they had. When we came to Auschwitz, so that friend of my friend said what my mother couldn't achieve, that French one, and what my wife couldn't achieve, the Russians achieved in a few minutes. They made him out communist in a few minutes. They've been awful. They fetched us to do their work, and we've been hardly living, you know. Anyhow, they needed someone to translate. So, all right, I'll translate. Been hiring Russian officers, and what he asked, I translated. Suddenly he says to someone, take down her number. We will take her to Russia. They wanted to take me for propaganda to Russia. When I found out that that's happening, I thought, that's all I need. That's what I'm short of. To go to Russia, to be there for their propaganda. They took down my number. Pitom, I heard that in Auschwitz there is a high-ranking officer, someone at the top, who was in Auschwitz, that he is a Jew. He was a Russian high-ranking officer. He's a Jew. And he collects some ghetto money. I don't know, I happen to have one coin, I don't know, it was from Lodger Ghetto or where. I had one. So I said, I got one, but I want to give it only personally to him. I wouldn't give it otherwise. So they made me an appointment and took me to him, and I was with him. And I was alone with him in the room. So I said to him, look, I was in Birkenau, and I was liberated, and I want to go home to see if somebody is alive of my family. And they took me my name down. What do you think of me going to Russia? He says, if you're a communist, be a communist in your own country. So I got the message, all right, get out. But how? I came back. Whatever happened to us during the day, I used to tell my friends. We talked over everything. One day I've been in Auschwitz and I see my uncle's brother. I say, Hasko, what are you doing here? This is the same thing as you. I was liberated here. He took me to his, he was in a basement. There was a window, and he said, jump down, and I went in. He had two friends there he lived with, and they asked me if I want something, what they had to eat, and we got friendly. And once they wanted to catch me to work, and I knew already that basement, and I ran there, and I knocked on the window. And they opened the window, and I jumped down, and they didn't find me anymore. I'm not there.
You left Auschwitz?
No, I am in Auschwitz, but hiding from the Russians. I didn't want to go and do the dirty work. I was hardly alive. Nothing. In the evening, later I gone back to my friends and I told them the story, so they said, don't go out, stay in. One day we heard in Poprad was the basis of the Czech Legion. The Legion, the Czech, was the basis in Poprad. That some of the boys heard about Auschwitz, and they came to find out whom they'll find, what happened, who is alive. Well, Jewish boys from Poprad came with a lorry. Oh, those friends, my uncle's brother and two friends, built a ledge. They wanted to get out. So I told them the story. I said, would you smuggle me out? So he said, Lea, with pleasure, but we don't know how we will fare on the way. We are without anything. We don't dare. You are not so healthy to take you to such an unknown destination. No trains, no transport, no nothing. So when I heard that those boys came from the Czech Legion,
No, it's okay.
So I went to talk to one, and we spoke where he is from and what. I told him, the Russians want to take me for propaganda. I want to get out. Can you take me out? He said, we're taking some people in the lorry. They had such a military lorry. If we can, we will take you. So I said, but I have to be smuggled out. My name is put down in the office, and they won't let me out officially.
The gates was closed? The gates?
Yes, it was closed. And there was an office near the gate, and so he filled one. I told the girlfriends, if I don't come back, and for that brother of my uncle, if I don't come back, I'm trying to get with them if it can be done. So we filling that lorry, and he starts to reading the numbers, that Russian. They've been asked to go through, and they gave him the numbers. He starts to read the numbers. And when he read them all, he said, did I call everybody? So we said, yes. He counts the heads, and there is one head more. Instead of saying, whosever number I call should come down from the lorry, he would find me quickly, but he didn't. He went in the office to ask what to do, that there is one head more, and left the gate open. So I said to the one who was at the wheel, the driver, I said, quickly get out. And he drove out. And he came out and started to shoot. But he didn't catch us. We've been gone. That's how I escaped Auschwitz after liberation. I came to Poprad. I had an infection in the throat with temperature, 39 temperature. I came to Poprad. There I was something that they haven't seen. A girl, a normal, a girl from a camp came out. There was a doctor. He looked after me like after a baby. They put me on my feet. They cooked specially for me things to pull me through whatever, I needed. And I got better, thank God. I'm walking about. Poprad had a very good air. It's really was at the Czechs' time, a holiday place. There have been a few boys who said there was still the war on. The war wasn't finished till May. And that was maybe March or so. They said they want to go home. They've been Slovak boys from Nove Zamky. One was, I don't remember where the other ones were. They taking a holiday and they had a car from the army. So I said, do me a favor, take me also. They said there, we don't advise you yet to go. You can go strong, you will go stronger and the war might end and wait. So I said, no, I want to go. If somebody is alive, I want to be in my hometown.
And did you reach your hometown?
They took me. They wouldn't leave me. We had to spend the night on the way. So we spent in an empty house a night in Kejmark. the nights have been still cool. They took off their coats and they covered me. They looked after me. I can't tell you how. And they brought me to barracks.
You are coming to barracks, Lea.
I come to barracks.
Did you went to your house? Did you went to your house?
Not straight away. Not straight away.
Why?
Because I didn't feel like. I met someone who was in a labor camp or in hiding. He had a drogeria shop they had before, and he was open. So I went to him and I said, "Andy, who of the Jews are here in barracks? Who of the boys?" So he told me. He said, "They are gathered in one place, in one's house." So, first of all, I was still with the soldiers, the Czech soldiers. So I said to one, we put away some things. I remember my mother gave some of her earrings and a ring, if I remember, to a Goya. And I remember the name and the address. I said, "Would you take me there before they see me run straight?" That was I want to hear what she has to say. So I come in and I said, my mother left with you a pair of earrings and a ring. It was more, I suppose, sentimental value than anything else, diamond, but small. I didn't go for the... So they told me, the Russians took away everything. We haven't got anything. I said, "You haven't got anything, you haven't got." But my fiancé is here outside, and we will look through the place. If we find it, I don't envy you. You know, what did I have to lose? I called in that boy. He came in, and they seen him with the, in the military things with the nashik. I say, well, they say that the Russians took away everything. Would you look through the place? Then the woman says, well, something is here. Maybe it will be between those things. I was a fool, but nothing had any value with us, So I found my mother's earrings and my mother's ring, and I took that. There was other jewelry, Jewish jewelry. I could have taken it and asked later, who does it belong to? It didn't interest me anything, but that had a sentimental value because it was my mother's. Then he was going home, and I thanked him very much, that soldier, and I sent regards to the lot. We parted, and I said to that, he was also a pupil of my father's, of my late father, Zichrono Livracha. I said to him, "Andy, where will I find those people?" So he gave me the address. And I said, first of all, what I would like, can I have a bar of soap and tell me where one takes a bath here? Because we've been on the way 2 or 3 days, and I felt I want to have a... So he said, the mikvah is converted to a public bath. Here you got soaps. I said, I'll pay you when I'll have money. We joke about it. When I see him on the meetings, I owe you still for a bar of soap. You know, that's how. And then I had a wash, and I went down to look. I found very few friends, and I stayed with them. Whoever came, we've been placing ourselves together because we are.
Lea, in the city of Bergassos, how long you stayed there? For how long? For how long you stayed in Bergassos?
In Bergassos, I'll tell you that also with the time going, how it was, how I got out of Bergassos. It was a life of running from one place to the other under difficult circumstances all the time. Now, I'm in Bergassos, and I'm going home to my home flat. With what a heart I went, I don't have to tell you. I thought maybe I'll find something like photos. My father was a very talented man in Sifrut. He wrote things that we thought we will bind it into books later. Sfarim, maybe I'll find something what interests me of my parents. I come there, the neighbor opens the door. She was very pleased to see me. She said, I moved into your flat. It's a better flat than what I had. I knew that was the one who brought us some bread and milk. She said, if you want to stay with us, you are welcome. I said, no, I don't want to stay with you, but I came to look for things. She said, the flat wasn't there anything. Those drawers have been empty, what I wanted to take out. No photo, no nothing. She said, the card, what you sent, I sent forward to your brother. And, well, didn't find, that's it. I didn't want to stay, not even for a drink. I felt.
Where did you went? Where did you went? And you went?
I went to where the friends have been gathered together. Friend or no friend, if we are from one town, we know one another. And whoever came afterwards, we placed them all, and we've been together. No one of my direct family has been back yet. But I heard that someone is in hospital with typhus. That was a brother of my late husband, Zichrono Livracha, the older brother. And him I knew because we've been friends, the two families, and we lived in the same road. He's with typhus in hospital. So I heard also that one of my friends, whom I knew, was home. He was in hiding, and they had a wine. They've been wine exporters, and so I went down to him and I said to him, Hershey, I need a bottle of good wine. I have got someone in the hospital. Can you help me? He said, with pleasure. He gave me a bottle of wine. I go to the hospital. In the hospital, they don't want to let me in. He has got typhus, and we mustn't let. I pushed. him right and left. I said, I have typhus, and I gone in. And he was very pleased to see me. He asked me what I know. I knew that his mother died in Auschwitz, in Birkenau, but I didn't have the heart to tell. I said, I met your two sisters. My mother wasn't with them. I said, no. We spoke, how do you feel? And I said they didn't want to let me in. I gave him the bottle of wine. But what I will do, I'll come outside to the window, and you will come to the window, and we will meet that way. I want to keep in touch with you and hear how you're getting on. So I visited him, and later, slowly, this one came from labor camp, and this one, and one day, it's another funny dream, I don't know, I was, my brother, Yoski, he was in Budapest. He was going through a long history there. He was in labor camp. He was under false papers. And that's a long story. He will tell it. Or he will write it. His children want to make a book of it. Dreams that Lea is at home. And it's Friday, and she's straining some noodles. He says to the people he was staying with, he saved those people, and it's a whole history, and they are from the orphanage, the people. So he said to her, I dreamt that Lea is at home and I'm going home. So he says, are you mad? There is no transport and there is no... I said, I don't care.
Finally,
from Budapest to Berexes, how he got, I don't know. I think a tramp here, a tramp there, I don't know. But when he came to Chop, that's a town before Berexes, he met a friend. And that friend told him, Lea is at home and she looks already better than she did when she came. Oh, he was rushing to get home. And what do you think? He comes home and it's a Friday and I was cooking there, we've been all together and everybody done something. It fell out of my hands, the noodles, when I heard his voice. That's how we've been too.
We should take a break for 1 minute.
Yes. '45, the war ended.
Lea, we are now on 45. You are you were being liberated. You are in Bergasos. For how long you stayed in Bergasos?
Till after the Chagim. And then I tried to, first of all, we wanted to get out. The Russians closed the border, and we wanted to get out. My two sisters and my brother was also already alive. So I had permission to cross, so I gave it to my sister. I said, I will be able to get out. You go first. They gone, and they gone to Czechoslovakia. They gone to Sinadlabem,
And what happened with you?
What happened to me? I tried to smuggle through and we couldn't. We've been shot at and we came back. And then I heard one day that there is a Russian nachalnik that some people got permissions. So I came to him and I asked the permission. So he said, it's not good for you here. So I said, I have got a husband there and I got a family there. I must get out. So he said, we have got enough husbands. I came away with the permission. And I gone to look for my family. I didn't know in which town they are, where they are in Czechoslovakia, but I found them, and they've been in Ustin and Labem. And in the meantime, I've been in Prague, and somehow I spent there a night, and how I found a letter from my late husband, Zal. He heard that I'm alive, and he wrote a letter and left it at some place, and I came by chance to that place and found the letter. I get to Usti, and we've been corresponding, and I want to get out to England. It didn't go, but there was going a transport. I was refused because they checked. They let in a few orphans and who didn't have anybody, and they found out that I got a brother and an uncle. They refused me, and if England refuses once, that's refused. So my husband heard that a transport of yeshiva bachurim are coming to Gateshead, who have got someone who is giving them a guarantee that they'll look after them. So he asked that person to get me out with the transport. How I got out with the transport, that's a long story, I won't get into it. I am in London, and the one who gave the guarantee felt that he was cheated, that he gave a guarantee for a boy to study in Gateshead, and here they brought a girl. But all the rabbanim worked for it. Gateshead has had a Rav Dessler who was a very well-known, let's say, like Rav Kook here in Israel or something. He got to that Julius Nussbaum, who gave the guarantee, on whose guarantee I came. He went to him, and I got friendly with his daughter, and I stayed in England. When I went to sign in Newcastle, my papers, I came on false papers. Automatically I want to sign Lea Grunwald. I made the G, and I made a H from it, Chaimovich, because I came and signed. Now, I come to London. I'm in London. In London I stayed with my husband's house sister. She was living there. That's why he went out to London. And 2 months after I've been in London, we looked for a flat for some lodgings. We got married. I got married, and we live in London. I have got my family in London. I got 3 children. 3 daughters, and the daughters settled in Israel, and my husband passed away. He was taken in for a small operation, and an acoustic neuroma. He was in the best hospital for it with the best surgeon. And he got the thrombosis in the head and never came out. He went in on his 2 feet, a 56-year-old, young, handsome, gibor of a person, never came out of it. So all my 3 children settled in Israel. As I told you, we've been Zionists since I remember myself. They settled in Israel, and they didn't want I should stay in London. Although the family there are like sisters and brothers up to date with me. We've been very close-knit families from my husband's side, also like from my side. Anyhow, they said, no, you will sell the house and you will come to Israel. And that's how I came to Israel. Without a language, without roots here, at an elderly age.
The name of your husband, Lea?
Mm-hmm.
The name of your husband?
David Kahan.
זיכרונו לברכה.
זיכרונו לברכה,
And now where are you staying in Israel?
In Petah Tikva. I got a flat. And I have got from both sides. One side a daughter and the other side a daughter. So that I live alone. But the children are next to me, and that's my home is the second home of all my grandchildren. They study at my place. I keep kvalim for them because they like sport. Whatever, it's their second home.
Lea, when did you first really felt that you are liberated?
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear you.
Sorry. When did you first felt that you are liberated?
When I felt I'm
first really liberated?
Never. That lives with you, that accompanies you all your life. My brother and sister-in-law was one for a weekend at my place, and they slept in their bedroom, I slept in my bedroom. At night, I see Piton there standing next to my bed. So I said, what's wrong? They said, nothing wrong with us. You've been screaming, what's happening to you? So I said, I had a terrible dream that the Nazis are running after me, and I got all my grandchildren and I'm running with them. That accompanies you, this reminds you, that reminds you. That's something that you can never cut yourself off completely from.
When did you speak to your children about your past?
With my children, very little. More with my grandchildren, because they started to ask questions, and why have you, what's this, and what's that, and then I started to tell them. And often I got a lift from one, and Savta, tell us about yourself, and Savta, tell us. And there came at school the Shorashim, and one came to ask questions and the other, and I helped them. I spoke more to the my children have been annoyed about that. One of my daughter accompanied the transport to Birkenau. She's a doctor, and as a doctor they asked her to accompany them. And she heard more from the books, what they read, and from experience. But we tried to give them a happier childhood than to feed them just with Birkenau and Auschwitz. My husband was liberated in Bergen-Belsen. You know, he went through a few camps. It's a long story.
Lea, how do you think your Shoah experience affected you physically and psychologically?
Badly both ways. Badly both ways. I tried, I don't know how normal that generation can be. Psychology. Psychologically, it affected me, and physically, it affected my health. My husband, Zal, was the strongest one. He looked after me like, here I am. If you got years, then you live. Then you go through hell and you live.
Lea, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming and telling us your story, and to wish you a healthy and a happy life with your family. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I thank you very much. I wanted to give the story, first of all, for the records. As I see already, they try to deny the camp altogether. And in Syria, there are now articles in the state paper that the Holocaust didn't exist, that we just thought it out. And so I thought, I am evidence, living evidence here still. I have to do it. So if it wasn't exactly as you wanted to, I tried my best.
Perfect, and thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and all the best.
Thanks. Now you wanted the... Got a cramp in the leg.
Okay. Grunwald, my grandfather, Zichrono Livracha, he died in Munkaj ghetto, and the uncle who accompanied him, only one uncle they let to accompany him, unfortunately died, and we don't know where his grave is. That's the big synagogue of Berehovo Bereksaz. Today it's some sport place. Start. David Grunwald. Motche Zvi Grunwald, Zichrono Livracha. Tobe Freude Grunwald. Ima Sheli, Zichrono Livracha. My sister Rivka. My brother Yosef. My sister Esther. My sister Sarah Zichrona Livracha, and myself. There is in the back row, Joseph, my brother, David, my brother, myself. In the second row, my mother, my father, my sister Rivka, and my brother Zev, Zichrono Livracha, my sister Esther,
and my sister Sarah Zichrona Livracha.
When did this picture took place?
Much before the war, because Esther was 15 when she was taken to camp, so that must have been taken much before.
And how did you have the picture?
One of my brothers, he was in labor camp, and that was Yoski. And whatever we got, I think we got from him. This I could have got from another friend.
Sure.
I am the fourth in the bottom row from left to right.
Who is the group here? The group?
The group is my school in Berexas and in Berehovo still. It's still a Czech school. So it must have been taken before the Hungarians came in. This is my little sister, Zichrona Livracha Sarala. She didn't come back from Birkenau. She was selected out in Birkenau. My husband, Zichrona Livracha, David Kahana, and myself, we got married on the 8th of December in 1946. That's my late husband, Zichrona Livracha. When he found out I am alive in Czechoslovakia, he sent me that photo. My sister Rivka is on that photo. That's the compartment we came in to Birkenau in. She helps to take off the children from the compartment. Here you can see the electric wiring also.
Please.
My brother David, after the selection in Birkenau, and you can see in the background the wired fences. That picture was taken in 44, May 18, when we arrived to Birkenau. That is my sister Rivka on that picture.
Who took this picture?
Some answers, I don't know.
How did you know about this picture?
Well, we heard about the album from someone that they seen my sister's photo on it, and my sister went to the Goethe library, and when they seen that it's her, they lent us the book, and my granddaughter had each page photographed, and they had it bounded, and we got the album like that. We gave back for the Goethe library the album they lent us, but we got the album. He looked for that block. And this is the block I was first in. That's number 13 in Birkenau. And my nephew was in Birkenau, and he took that picture because my sister is his mother-in-law, and she asked him to take if he can a picture of the block 13. The right is Rivka, 7762. In the middle, it's me, 7761, and on the left is Esther, 7760. That's my daughter, Teresa Barcela. And it's the bat mitzvah of her daughter, Anat Michal Barcela. Taken 7 years ago. Let's...
Please, one moment.
I have to...
Okay. Please.
That's the wedding of my granddaughter, Hagit Barak. The parents are my daughter, Linda Barak, her husband, Naftali Meir Barak, and the children are from this side, from the left side, Asher, I have to have them, Asher, Hillel, Nathaniel, Tila, Racheli, Shiloh, and David. And here is Zinon. This is my oldest grandson, Zichrono Livracha, Yair Barak, who fell in Lebanon in 95. Erev Simchat Torah, Shana Rabbah. He was 20. Here is my youngest daughter, Susie Cooper, and her family. That's the wedding of her daughter, Shulamit Hadas. That's my brother's 80th birthday, my brother David Grunwald.
Who is in the picture?
My other brother on the right, Joseph Grunwald, and Hannah Grunwald, his wife. And then it's me, Lea Kahana, in the back. In the front is Lea Grunwald, the wife of my brother David, Rivka Kahana, my sister, and Esther Asael, my sister.